Paul, I want to commend the two presidential candidates for accepting to speak on the platform. I mean, if you want to lead, the most important thing is to express your vision clearly to the people you want to lead. And you know, in Ghana, the NDC and the MPP are the two major political parties. Everybody knows on 7th of December, one of them will be elected the president of Ghana. And politics should be reduced to vision and ideas and policies of the various political parties. And so when you have our leaders sharing the same political platform to tell the people they want to lead what they intend to do constructively, I think it's really positive. And I was very excited when I listened to both of them yesterday. It will give Ghanaians the opportunity to, I mean, unfortunately, both of them have been in government before. The former President Mahama has been vice president and president before. Dr. Bawumia has been vice president the last 7.5 years. And so at least both have an opportunity to showcase what they did when they were in government and to tell the people what they intend to do if they get the next opportunity. And listening to both of them, of course, they both espouse what they have achieved in the past. With Bawumia, Dr. Bawumia telling Ghanaians a lot of projects in education, in health, in the economy, and I mean major areas, and then also telling us his vision if he becomes president. Of course, former President Mahama taking a jab at government on some of the difficulties that confront the Ghanaian economy, which is in his, I mean, certainly he has to take advantage of that. But Randy, for me, I keep saying that the current economic challenges that confront Ghana, from the president to every appointee of this government, will be out of your mind if you don't sympathize with the people of Ghana. Because there are real challenges, there are real difficulties that faces families, individuals, businesses, and all that. But don't let us also forget that these challenges are global in nature. I mean, it is not the case that all the reasons why we are facing these challenges are within Ghana. I mean, for instance, the currency depreciation, the cedi depreciation against the dollar. If you go and look at the international market, the US dollar has, I mean, posed a challenge to almost all currencies across the globe. Go and check. All currencies have depreciated against the US dollar. It's not just Ghana. And if you look at the last report that was issued, in fact, Nigeria's Naira has depreciated against the dollar. It's worse than Ghana's situation. And the finance minister spoke, I think, a week ago, outlining measures being put in place to ensure that the cedi is stabilized. I mean, that is the responsibility of government. When things are get out of hand, you have a duty. You can't only lament about the global situation, but you have to find solutions to the problems. And the solutions are in two folds. One, you have to be looking at short-term solutions, and that is where government is looking at the MOU being signed with our bilateral creditors. Certainly will result in we getting some financial support, which will inject some dollar liquidity into our system. There are other expected resources that should also come into the system that will support the cedi and at least reduce the level of depreciation of the cedi against the dollar. Of course, there are long-term solutions which will involve the 1D1F and other major projects that we have to invest in, so that eventually we should be able to produce a lot of things within our country and reduce the level of importations, so that the pressure on the dollar or the cedi to change to dollars for importation, once that eventually reduces, because we are self-sufficient in the production of certain products, our currency will be more stable. The former president talks about the debt situation. I mean, I have always admitted that when you manage something and it increases or it expands, you have to accept responsibility of the change. But you are talking about Bawumia wanting to be president and John Mahama wanting to be president, and we need to look at the two of them, their records. Now, if in 2009, John and Co took over governance in Ghana, and the total debt in cedis was about 9 billion Ghana cedis, a little over 9 billion Ghana cedis, and after 8 years, they left 120 billion Ghana cedis. It means that our debt has increased in 12 folds. Now, if today our debt is over 600 billion, the rate of increase between 2009 and 2016 by John and Co., if we're increasing at the same rate, our debt should have been over 1 trillion cedis now. That is worth consideration. John, don't shake your head. The rate at which you were accumulating debt, the rate go from 9 billion to 120 billion, and then we took it from 120 billion to 600, over 600 billion. It means the rate has at least reduced. Debt was increasing under President Mahama was far more than it has been increasing to make a determination as to whether to bring Dr. Bawumia as the president in 2025 or John Mahama. But in all, I am confident that Ghanaians will certainly want to have Dr. Bawumia in 2025. That is my personal opinion because, I mean, we want to make progress. We can't go back to the past.
Mm-hmm. Now, let me read this. Chinnia, let me just read this to you, and then I get your comments. The Ghana Federation of Traders has called on the government to take measures to lower the exchange rate from 15 cedis to 10 cedis or face their wrath. The federation, which consists of 8 groups, contends that the depreciation of a cedi is depleting their capital, thereby jeopardizing their businesses. Mr. Kweku Boateng, the chairman of the Ghana Federation of Traders and president of the Automobile Dealers Union, stated that firm actions must be taken to reduce the exchange rate. We want that a group will organize a nationwide protest if the government does not promptly address the issue in 2 weeks. He says we are about 8 unions, strong unions. Let our government know that the way the dollar is climbing and our cedi is meaningless means that the business community can rise up. As I'm speaking, businesses are collapsing. In 2 years, my capital can import only 3 containers. Mm-hmm. From 2014 to 2015, I imported 20 containers a year. Now, 3 years down the line, I've imported only 3 containers. What we, the traders, are telling the world, our leaders in the Ghanaian community as a whole, a lot of unions are coming out to join to demonstrate. We are pleading, urging our president and vice president that in 2 weeks, as we said, if we don't hear anything from them about the dollar from 15 to 10, we'll let the world hear. I don't know how government is going to change from 15 to 10, but as you make your analysis on your rates, he's also saying that he used to import 20 containers. 2014, 2015.
At a higher rate.
After 3, is it 3 years
down the line? John, nobody say the rate is lower.
It says 3 years down the line. He can, with the same amount of money, import only 3 containers.
You see,
that's his reality.
Yes, Randy, and I agree with him and I sympathize with him. I have, Randy, we have discussed this here before.
Right.
And I keep saying that I will never run away from the fact that the depreciation of the cedi against the dollar is affecting the business community. It's affecting everybody. And when the business community are affected, I mean, the trickle-down effect is to the ordinary Ghanaian. And so everybody in Ghana is being affected. No doubt about that. Because once you bring in goods and the cedi depreciates, because you are selling cedis, and after selling, you have to change the cedis into dollars so that you can import. So if the cedi depreciates against the dollar, it means you require more cedis to get probably fewer, to get your dollars. And so if you require more cedis, it means your dollar position will go down. And so your capital is affected. No doubt about it. And government, of course, is taking steps to remedy the situation. The finance minister had a press conference, I think, last week. I mean, there are steps that are being taken. Like I said earlier, some of them are short-term measures, and I believe that there will be stability. And so I can only appeal to them to exercise some restraint whilst government make effort to address the situation. But sometimes, Randy, even though the reality is that their capital is affected, but it's also important to add. Today, John sitting here may say that the rate of change is not important because probably satisfy him. But rate of change is important. If the rate of change, if the rate of change, something is changing at say 10% and another is changing at 15%, are they the same? They cannot be the same.
Rates?
They can't be the same.
No.
So the rate of depreciation, the rate of depreciation under you then, if we were experiencing the same rate of depreciation, our position would have been worse. That is the point I am making. I am not saying that I am not saying that I'm happy with the situation. I am not happy. And I know it affects me, it affects my constituents, it affects every Ghanaian. Once the cedi depreciates against the dollar, everybody in Ghana is affected. But Randy, it's also important when these people are talking as though they could have done better, when their record doesn't support what they're saying. We also need to point it out. It doesn't mean that we don't sympathize with the business community. It doesn't mean that we don't agree with the sentiments of the business community. But Joy and Co should not pretend as if they could have done better when their record clearly shows that if we were going at the level they were going when they had the opportunity, it would have been worse off.